Hello folks, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is VAR a good thing? Personally, I believe VAR is a good thing. I believe that it is very beneficial to not just Scottish football, but English football, worldwide football. It is a good thing. The problem being is that the people running VAR, or VAR, as the kids like to call it, is they're not good enough. They're not doing their job properly. Whether it is actual getting to the correct decisions throughout, whether they're looking at the replays or anything like that, or even just going to look at VAR. Sometimes you think when you're watching a game and you see a decision, you think, how's it not going to VAR? That happens far too much. And then again, another problem with VAR is it takes too long. People can't deny that. It takes far too long. It does seem to be getting slightly better, if I'm being honest. As the years go on, they do seem to be getting slightly better. But the thing is, you're always going to get contentious decisions. That's why we love football. We love to see the drama. We love to talk about the talking points of poor decisions or decisions going against your team or going for your team. That's what we love about football. We love all the talking points. That's why we've got podcasts. That's why we've got people doing videos like this, because people like to listen to contentious points. And so anyway, VAR in general is a good thing, but it needs to be better. I mean, I like a wee bet now and again. I'm like your average white male these days. I like a wee bet now and again on a Saturday or whatever. And when, if it's like a Italian game, a Spanish game, a German game, there's always controversy. Always, in every single game, there's always people moaning about the referees, moaning about the linesmen, moaning about the fourth official, and moaning about people in the VAR room. But, at the end of the day, I remember, right, back in the day when Martin O'Neill was first in charge of Celtic played Juventus in the Champions League in the early 2000s. And a man called Amoruso went through on goal, and he was slightly touched in the box, and he went down like a bag of spanners. Total dive, right? Total dive. In this day and age, that would go to VAR and that would get overturned. I believe that. So it's good for, teams who aren't expected to win in big games, and it goes for that in Scotland. If you're a St Mirren, you're Livingston, Hibs, Hearts, if you go to Celtic or Rangers, you will get the correct decision most of the time. But obviously there is going to be exceptions. There's going to be times where VAR get it wrong, and it's no VAR, it's the people. So how do we train the people properly? How do we make them better? How do we make the officiating and the decisions more, up to speed and better? That's the thing. It's no let's get rid of VAR, because that's not the answer. Getting rid of VAR is only going to make things worse. It's only going to make more controversial decisions throughout a match. And as much as I say that's what we love about football, we want to see correct decisions. We want to see things getting done properly. So taking away VAR isn't going to do that. So what we need to do is focus on the people, and how do we make that better? How do we make them better at their job? First of all, I would say in Scotland we need to make these guys full time. You're not telling me there's no the money in the game where we can make referees and all the officials full time. Obviously they'll be getting paid a lot of money for what they do. But make it their full-time job, make it something they can totally focus on, something that they can totally commit to, as well as, right now they're having to do that as well as do their own daytime jobs, which is just silly, man. It's like, we need better officiating, and the only way to do that is to make these guys full-time. I absolutely hate talking about. You see every day some football fan on the internet talking about how some referee or linesman is against their club. Like, for instance, in Scotland, loads of Celtic fans believe John Beaton is against them because he was seen in a Rangers pub once. Or it's these guys. It's better to say that some guys just aren't as good at their job as others, because to say that people are cheating and stuff like that, I mean, you put yourself in a position, right? So you're in front of 50,000 people at Ibrox or Parkhead or anywhere, right? And you've got loads of people who say that the referees are against them, right? So you're anywhere, right? For starters, this is your reputation. It's your job, right? People are paying you money for this, good money. Like I say, it's your reputation. The better you do at a game, the more games you're going to get, right? From a professional point of view. If you get the majority of your decisions correct, you'll get more games. If you make terrible decisions all the time, or if you are biased, then you'll get demoted in the leagues. So see all this, he's against my club and he's this and that, it's utter nonsense. Their bosses are sitting in the stand analysing every decision they make, you know. Why would you even go down the road of cheating because you like a certain team? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, let the football players do the talking on the park. I don't believe that any officiating happens, that is cheating happens in this country. It might have done in the past. It might have done. Maybe no as many cameras in the past and all this. But everything that happens these days gets scrutinised. You know, there's a million cameras out there. There's a million people watching what people are doing on the park. Every single decision gets watched, gets looked at. So let's not get rid of VAR. Let's not even talk about getting rid of VAR. Let's talk about making the people better. And also, that's another thing I want to talk about, is we need to be more up to date with the rules. Some of the rules is just mental. Like, for instance, in the Celtic game the other week against Dundee in the Cup, Svian Chara gets pushed just outside the box and it ends up in the box. Right now, as far as I'm led to believe now, as if if it's a push, then even if it started outside the box but it continues inside the box, it's a penalty, which to me was mental, considering if you tackle somebody and you tackle them outside the box and it ends up inside the box, it's not a penalty. You know, and I just found that rule out the other day. Somebody told me about that. They had to look it up and stuff. If it's a push, it ends up in it. I mean, that should be something that everybody just knows, right? And then don't even get me started in the handball rule. The handball, nobody knows what's really going on there. It's totally subjective for referees going, it's a natural position, it's an unnatural position. You know, last season, I know they did change the rules last season. Again, that was just through the grapevine. I've heard that. You don't get told anything. There's no enough statements come out from the Scottish SFA or the English FA or any other football that you watch that came out and actually tell you and go through the rules with you. Because obviously last season, whenever a ball comes into the box or whatever that hits off, say it hits off an opponent and then goes onto your hand, that's not a penalty. Whereas last season it was. So, I mean, there's loads of things like that. If the ball just kind of bounces up and hits your arm, that last season was a penalty. But this season, it needs to be, you know, if that's the case, then as long as your arm's in a natural position, then it's not a penalty. But last season, it didn't need to be in a natural position, unnatural position. If it was in a natural position and it hit your arm, it was still a penalty. So they need to be clearer on that. They need to be clearer on all sides. There's just loads of things. They need to be clearer on penalty decisions constantly. They need to be clearer on red cards, how, you know, when it comes to the force of the challenge or how high it is and all this. I mean, at the end of the day, you see people arguing every single day, right, about decisions, and that's because most people don't really know the rules and it's subjective. So, you know, why would people even be arguing, right, if everybody knew the rules and everybody knew what was going on? But that's the problem. I think as football fans, we don't get told enough. I really do. I mean, I've not got time to sit down and go through every single rule in football these days. I've not got, there's about a million, you know, reasonable force and VAR when it's deemed correct and not correct to go to the monitor and all this stuff. And also referees, by the way. Referees need to be stronger. If they're getting told to go to the VAR monitor, they need to be stronger, because I'm not having it that 9 times out of 10 they agree with VAR, because it just seems to be constantly. You know, I'd say 99% of decisions when a referee goes to the monitor, he's just going along with what VAR say. I've seen it a handful of times where the referee has not went with that decision, and that's literally in years. They're literally about 4 or 5 times in years. So, and I watch football every other day. So it's like constantly, you need to get the referees to be stronger. If they're going to go to a monitor, they need to go with what they genuinely believe. Not what the crowd think, not what VAR think. And that's the problem. It needs to be deemed normal to go to the monitor and you say, you know what, no, I don't agree with VAR here, I'm going to stick to my decision, or I'm going to go against my decision. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I want to know your opinions on VAR. Do you agree with it? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think we should just get rid of it altogether? It's a load of nonsense. Let me know what you think. Remember, subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you.